There are 3 words guaranteed to make learners of any language panic: should, would, and could. Yes, the sentences around these words can get very complicated, demanding things like the future subjunctive or the imperfect subjunctive. So in this video, I'm going to hold your hand and help you form some simple sentences using these words in Portuguese. If this sounds like something that you need to learn, give me a like and hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications to show me that you find my videos helpful. How else am I going to know otherwise? So let's start with the word should. We usually use this in 2 contexts. The first one to talk about something that we should have done, but we didn't. So just like that classic advert, at least in the UK, should have gone to Specsavers. So for this, we need 3 things. First of all, we need the verb dever. This means to have a duty to do something, and we're going to conjugate that in the imperfect. That is going to give us the part of the sentence that means should. Next, we need the verb ter. We need it whole in the infinitive form, meaning it's not conjugated, and this is going to give us the part of the sentence have. Finally, we need the past participle. So in this sentence, the past participle is the word gone. So if you don't know how to formulate the past participle, you can head over to verbix.com, type in the verb that you want to put in the past participle, and it will show you right here. So in this sentence, the word for gone is ido. It's the verb ir, to go, in the past participle, gone. So when we put all of those together, that sounds like this: devia ter ido ao Specsavers. The other time we would use should is when we are giving somebody a recommendation about something that they should do. So this will work slightly differently. Here, all I need is dever. Again, I can conjugate it in the imperfect. Devias. This time I'm saying you should. Devias. I don't need ter because there is no sense of have in this sentence. The only thing I need now is the verb to go in the infinitive. Devias ir. You should go. Devias ir ao Specsavers. You should go to Specsavers. So on to the word could. Again, in English, we use this in a few contexts. One of them is politely asking somebody if they could do something. So for this, we need the verb poder. Okay, so for example, if I want to say, could you close the door? I can either use the imperfect, so I put poder in the imperfect. Podias fechar a porta? Could you close the door? Or I can use the conditional. Poderias fechar a porta? You'll see as you study that the imperfect and the conditional can be used interchangeably, but more on that in another video. Be careful when you're talking about things that you can and cannot do. We don't always use the verb poder. Sometimes we need to use the verb conseguir. For now, just think about poder as something that you have permission to do, and conseguir is something that you physically can or cannot do. So for example, não posso fechar a janela. I can't close the window. Because I'm using the verb poder, this implies that I shouldn't close the window, maybe because somebody's told me not to. However, if I physically can't close the window because I can't reach it, for example, that's when I would use conseguir. Não consigo fechar a janela, because I physically can't reach it. Do you have any other verbs that you struggle with understanding the difference of the meanings? Because sometimes we have several verbs for what we would think in English is the same meaning. If you've got questions like that, make sure you put them in the comments and I will make a video about that in the future. So the last one is would. Now this is tricky because there isn't a word for would in Portuguese. Instead, we express it using a certain tense. So the most common use of would is when we're talking about what we would do if something else happened. So that is a very classic conditional sentence, and it's the word if that is going to cause us to need to use things like the future subjunctive or the imperfect subjunctive. So let's not worry about that part of the sentence for now, and just talk about the part when you're talking about what you would do. So for example, if I asked, what would you do with 10,000 euros? And you could answer, I would buy a car. In Portuguese, what we need to do is put these verbs, do, what would you do, and buy, I would buy, into the conditional tense. So, in Portuguese, this would be: O que farias com 10.000 euros? Compraria carro. So, farias comes from the verb fazer, and all I'm doing is putting the verb fazer into the conditional to change do into would do. I then do the same with comprar. I take the verb comprar, buy, and I put it into the conditional, so compraria means I would buy. In English, we also use the word would to make polite requests. So for example, I would like a coffee. Again, we can use the imperfect here to express this idea of a polite request. So I could say, queria café, se faz favor. I would like a coffee, please. So note that there isn't a word for would, it's expressed in the tense that we're using. So in the previous example, we were using the conditional tense because we were talking about what would happen if something else happened. And for polite requests, we can use the imperfect. We can also use the conditional here. So remember how I said that they are interchangeable? So an example of how I would use the conditional to make a polite request would be this: Gostaria de provar o bolo. I would like to try the cake. So here, gostar is in the conditional tense. So it means the same thing. It still means that I am making a polite request. I hope that's going to help you formulate those would, should, and could sentences in a bit of a simpler way. It's not that hard once you get down to it. I will be back next week with another quick fire Portuguese lesson. Até a próxima. Ciao, ciao.